Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to go over the quality control and clinical research. So let's get started. Now, what is the definition of QC as per ISO? A quality is a set of characteristics that a product or service must have to satisfy needs and the expectations of the customer. A product is an output from a process, and the output from the clinical research process is the information. So you have the trial protocol, you have the analysis, the collection of data, the trial report, and you have the pooling of data in the database. Now, you have the reliability and the credibility of information providing an answer to a scientific question. You also have the compliance of the trial process with defined requirements. So you have started with a question, then you have the collection and analysis of data, and then you have an answer. The QC clientage, the society and consumers, the research subjects, the sponsors, the regulatory authorities worldwide, hospital institutions, and the IECs. And these are the client requirements. You have the budget, the law and regulations, the timelines, along with the ethical standards, the trial protocols, and the good practice standards, which is also known as GXPS. You also have the ethical standards, which is the Declaration of Helsinki. You have the good practice standards with the GXPS, the ICH, the ICH GCP, GMP, and the OECD, and the GLP. And you also have the law and regulations with the EU directives, US CFR, and the local legislation. And this is the QC pyramid, which starts with the training and the procedures and it works its way up to the trial protocol, the collection and analysis of data, and the trial report, and then the quality control, and then the quality assurance. Now, sponsor. High-level documents and policies and guidelines describe the standards and customer requirements that the sponsor is going to comply with. Trial-related instructions, protocols, CRFs, and usually provided by the sponsor. SOPs and working instructions detail how these standard requirements will be implemented in the core activities within the clinical research process, the everyday work. Investigators' SOPs. Investigator research site may have their own internal procedures. Procedures for financial agreements, trial management, investigational medicinal product handling, the IEC procedures, and the laboratory procedures. The training. Sponsors' staff must be trained before being delegated any tasks. Sponsor is responsible for providing trial-related training to investigators meetings, initiation visits, and GCP courses. Investigator is responsible for training his personnel. Training records, CVs are required as evidence of training and qualifications. Quality control. You have the ISO, which is the activities and techniques applied to ensure that products consistently fulfill requirements. You have the clinical research, which is the systematic checks on the compliance of the trial process and reliability and the credibility of the data, performed at every step of the clinical trial process and applied to each of the data handling. ISO, which is a set of activities to provide confidence that quality requirements will be filled. Clinical research is the independent audits of all trial-related processes and functions, and performed by QA function not involved in the research process, no conflict of interest. And then you have assessing the efficiency of sponsors' QC processes. Now you also have the trial product and the trial and the project-specific audits. System audits, a selected process, related activities, resources, organization, documents, facilities and equipment, pharmacovigilance, and the data management. Now you have the QC audits. This table just revolves mainly about the collection and the handling of the data and how the data overall in general works. That being said, you guys, it was a super quick module. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like I said, as always, if you guys have any questions or concerns, please do let me know at support@ccrpcourse.com. Thank you guys so much and see you guys next time.